And we're back, but this time on the wrong channel, right? Am I live? We'll see. I think I'm on the wrong channel. I'm still on Twitch, aren't I? Nope, no, there I am. Cool. So, hi everybody. I just got done streaming a little bit of my summer car, and I decided I would use this opportunity to stream some of this. So I need to probably tweet out that I'm also doing this as well. So give me half a second to do that. YouTube.com/C/RevScarecrow Artcade. That's right. Cool. Art stream starting now. It's gonna be a short one. Speaking of art, which I guess if you're here, you care about. Hi. How are you guys doing? Speaking of art, I'd also like to bring up the point that I am still selling that painting that I posted on the Patreon and on Twitter and on all of my social media. So that way you guys should probably know about it already. But anyway, I don't really intend on this one being one that like you guys follow along and work on as well. But it's something that I wanted to work on because I realized that right now I haven't done a painting revolving around a video game specifically in like months. And that's no good. So I got to do that every now and then. Anyway, let me try and figure things out. Alright, cool. I believe I'm on the wrong screen grab. I will make this one work. So these were the two that we were looking at. We had this guy and this guy. So these were the two different options that we had available to us. And chat voted between the two and decided that they preferred this image. A little bit Nighthawk sort of vibe. We can definitely edit this one down so that way it's got different colors. And we might want to just spend a little bit of time to just work on the colors on this, because maybe we can fix this one. But I think Timo looking straight at the camera looks a little bit weird. NoGartist wants me to make it so that way you can see the image for a minute, so there you go. I'm going to work on this for about an hour, and then I'm going to have to jump off and do some other stuff. So, I'm going to open up this image in GIMP, and we're going to just do a little bit of editing on it so that way we can get the levels right, we can get it so that way it looks the way we want, and all that. I appreciate that the chair is on the floor too. It's just stuck there, so we have to kind of roll with that. And I feel like it's like the aesthetic, really, of that game. It's just like a random thing out of order. All right, cool. So I'm going to pop you guys over actually to GIMP. GIMP is a free editing program. It's very similar to Photoshop in a lot of ways, except for it's free, which is nice. It can even open PSD files that you would get from it. So the canvas I've got right now is 11 by 20. So obviously, wait, 16 by 20? Let me measure this again. I've got one fairly large canvas. This one's 20 by 16. Let me turn on some music. We'll probably have another stream this week for just music, but we'll, because I need to write another song, because people are starting to get tired of this one, I think. Alright, so we put 20 in the width, and we put 16 down here, and then we click center, and we kind of expand it from there. Obviously, it's in pixels rather than inches, but we're gonna kind of fix this around to the way we want it to be, and then we'll go from there. Let me get it so you guys, I can see the chat, perhaps. That'd be nice. Krita is also free, and yeah, I like GIMP just because I know how to use it. I've been using it for years for my my images for thumbnails and stuff, and I still use it for that. Alright, so that's like about as big as I can do without breaking the image entirely. So now we just gotta like slide this over until it looks right. So you're gonna have some issues with like screen tearing as I slide it, but hopefully nothing too bad. It's a little bit too close, isn't it? Yeah, the emotes all hurt on this. They're just not very good. I mean, at least the thing is the right scale. I don't know if this is going to be the right thing. This is what I normally do for, like, arcade videos that, you guys see. So, alright. So this is just like a weird canvas size. It's going to leave us with a lot of dead air above and below. We can extrapolate a little bit, but I don't want to extrapolate too much. And if I'm going to extrapolate anywhere, I'd like to extrapolate up, I think, rather than forward, because this area I don't actually know what's going on there too well. Yeah, Photoshop is kind of rough. I don't blame you for having issues with it. So it looks like the umbrella just continues up here. So actually, if we just have like another layer that's under it, and we just take this color here and just continue it upwards, that's fairly convincing, and it looks like it's the actual size of the thing. Yeah? So, alright. So now, let's see if there's any other color corrections that we want to do. Is there anything that we want to highlight? I didn't mean to do whatever I just did there. Alright, let's just zoom into just this part of it. Alright. See. I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like that's pretty okay. Can you guys still see it? You guys can. I'm not totally happy with it, if I'll be honest with you. And I'm not really sure why. One issue that I've had with art for the longest time, if I've got any weak spots, which of course I do because I'm human, it's that I have a really hard time with composition. Composition and me just never have gotten along all too well. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of digital art either, and so I like to use this as a way of editing up a thing. Because it's just easier than trying to, figure it out raw sometimes. Alright, so there's that. Should we go with the other one? Maybe we go with the inside one. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna check and see what the inside one looks like again. I feel like this is more or less the same as this. Maybe this is the way to go. And we just turn his head somewhere else. Yeah, I feel like this is maybe a better image. Alright, so let's get rid of that. And then we'll change the canvas size down. If you haven't seen me stream this game, I highly recommend it. It's probably one of my most requested streams that I do. It's an experience. And it's a very different experience than probably what you're used to if you've only ever seen this channel. Because this channel is nice and chill. Art, like my regular like YouTube content is not at all, and in fact it's quite not. That's a good way of putting it. Alright, so one thing about composition, we're gonna have a quick composition lesson here. I'm gonna make a layer, and then I'm gonna cheat and use, where is it, render lines. There's one where it's like, probably just going to set this up. So this is, well, once I figure it out, I know there's a thing for this. Also, I'm going to move this over so I can read chat again. Composition has always been a big bugbear for me, so we're going to do it by the books, so that way I can maybe learn something along with you. Rev demonstrating that voting does nothing. Yep, I went with option number 3 because, yeah. Although I do hate that this is going on, like the wall paneling. That's gonna be an issue, isn't it? Oof. All right. Light and shadow, noise, edge detect, generic, combine, artistic. There's one that generates lines. Pattern. Grid. There it is. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna just cheat. Alright, cool. So number of spacing, or jack up the spacing on these super high. So the image itself is 900 across. So 900 divided by 4 is what? $255. Alright, so we're looking at 255 as the spacing on this guy. I think that should be right. It's a little bit off. We're gonna cheat and use the rule of thirds. Pattern, grid. Let's make it 300. It's probably a little off, but we'll move the grid so that way it fits. Maybe like, do I use GIMP for my digital art? I use it for anything like this where I'm like doing editing. For like painting and stuff, I prefer Sci. But yeah, it's definitely like depends on the project sort of thing. Okay, can I just drag this layer so that way it's better? No. It's not gonna let me just select this layer, is it? Nah. It's gonna make it a whole thing, isn't it? And I don't even think that this layer is gonna work once I do get a hand on it. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Alright, well, we'll just manually do it. Alright, cool. So, just draw a box that is right here. This is really going to be sketchy, but we're going to just like use this as a... I guess like doing this is probably the better way of doing it. We don't really need the grid line for it. We can just go like this. That's about third, right? There. Cool. And... Alright, cool. So, one rule about composition that is touted a lot, and I haven't really experienced or tried too much, is that if you have something interesting at each of these 4 points, then your image will look cool. So we're going to have a hard time getting actually that much in there. You know, Fibonacci sequence where you have the circle is another way of doing it. We could zoom the image in. That's another option. Let's try zooming in a whole bunch and seeing if we can find anything interesting by doing it that way. I'd like it if I could just like put it like that. Is that gonna work? Alright, how does that look? I already have Psy. Psy I didn't like just because of the website to buy it is super weird, and it feels like you're getting a virus, but like it's legit, you know? We could put something like right here, like something like some sort of ad or something, and that would fill out that space. These guys are more or less in this quadrant. I feel like that's okay. It's not ideal. Nice. I just looked at the view count as well, Bubby. Nice. I thought you were laughing at the small number, but no. It's the special number. Nice. Alright, cool. So, export as for realsies. Top quality. There we go. Nice. Alright. Now we go back to here and to references. There it is. My supercar. This one for realsies. Alright, cool. It's a little bit grainy, but I think that's okay. And we're going to do kind of... I sort of thought about it before I did it. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to do that, but we're going to have it be a little bit different. So I'm actually going to shrink this down. Alright, video capture device. There we go. Alright, not the Elgato, because that's not going to work. And now you guys are staring at who knows what until I can fix this thing. Oh, no, that's actually what you're staring at. Okay, cool. Hi. Let's bring you back to reality. Okay, so this is a bigger painting or canvas than usual, but it should be fine. Also, I got myself like a much more eco-friendly like metal pan for mixing paint on, so that way I wouldn't feel so bad, and also then I can get rid of the like I can clean it off easier. Now that we have Herman, it's not exactly ideal for me to have just paint lying about. He's kind of bad about jumping up on it, so instead of doing that, we're gonna do it like this. I'm gonna have to fix the camera. You'll have to excuse that it's gonna fly all over the place for a minute. I need a better way of fixing this on here. Okay. Just there. You stay there. Stay? Okay. I think it's because I'm leaning back into it. Alright, focus is good. Alright, now we can start. Nope, don't go anywhere. You stay. Alright, cool. So I have a place that I need to be here in just a minute, but I'll spend a couple minutes working on this. Herman's out and about. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna just like sketch this out, and I think after I get done sketching it out, I'm probably gonna have to bounce. That's fine. That's enough to get us started, right? Setting up is sometimes one of the hardest things about starting painting, so if we can get that out of the way, and we just kind of know where everything is, then we'll be fine. That's a little too high. I'm gonna bring that down a bit. It's closer to that, because there's like a little bit of the table that we're sitting at. And then we got the inner door frame, like, I think that's right. It actually goes up really high. It's a tall door. I'm fine with it being a little bit sketchy and having some issues because it won't be seen in the final project. But, yeah. Also, let me move it so I can actually see chat. There we go. The camera appears to be moving. Is it? Yes. It is slowly creeping its way away. You come back here. You stay. That's better. I don't know how to tape that thing down better. Which is not ideal. Let me know if it starts running off on you again. Alright. And then we got this window right here that goes... And it should line up with this. So I'm actually, even though this line doesn't actually exist, I'm just going to go and draw that. And then we're going to have this go like that. So we got a vanishing point somewhere... like off here-ish somewhere, I think. Being super sketchy. What'd I miss? I decided to ignore chat's recommendation on what we should paint and do something else entirely. Alright, this feels really too close. Like, is this as close as that? I think it is. I let chat vote on it, and then I decided to go against it. We're still moving? We are. Okay. If it settles somewhere, I'm fine with it. It's just if it keeps rotating. Is it still rotating? It's still rotating pretty hard. If it was raining in the shot, I think we can fake it. I think we can fake it a little bit that it's raining. That window is way too big. Okay, let's get some stuff that we know where it is. Alright, so there's definitely a table in the back. It's right here, right? About that high up. It's actually not that far out either. This is super sketchy. I'm very out of practice as well, which is unfortunate. I just haven't had a chance to paint recently. I've been doing this thing where I paint the week of when I need to paint something. Stay. Just turn it all the way to the right so when it drifts, I mean, like, it's just taped on there. I need to get better tape. And get a little bit of white so I can like erase lines that aren't important because it's starting to mess with me. So like this guy right here needs to go away. I don't know if that makes it any better. That actually makes it kind of worse. So now I can see that like super well. Alright, and then this line needs to go away because it doesn't exist. I mean, I could use water. That would be the probably more eco-friendly and just cost-effective way of doing this, but whatever. Get some flex tape. That might be the trick as well. Alright, let's see. Now, I need to get some landmarks, or else we're going to get lost. I mean, I could use, like, the cube that we just made in order to kind of cheat it, but I don't like doing that. I feel like I'm a good enough artist that I don't need to do that. I want to listen to the first 15 minutes of this song really intensely to see if it's okay enough that I can use. It's not the best, but... And I complain about it every single arcade, but you know what? I can do it. I can probably use it, right? So it needs to be a little bit more square than that. It needs to go out to like here. It's like more rectangular than it is square, right? I'll set up the image. Because, let me make it come back for you. Oh, hey, you want to see a little cheat I could do? I could be like, I mean, it's like a little bit sheer, but what if we bring down the opacity of this, right? And we just like... Yeah, it's not going to work because we're at a different angle. So I'd have to like shift that as well. Yeah, doing the ghost image to cheat, it's not going to work, is it? Alright. Alright, let me get that fixed at least. Alright, for the people who care. Alright. Alright, and I think this comes down right here. Alright, and then this line is coming out of nowhere, right? Like it's like this. Is that in the right spot? Back banned for cheating. I know. It's a little bit too repetitive. That's my issue. Like even at the 2-minute mark, I'm just annoyed with it. So we're gonna move on. What was it about this shot that made you change your mind? It was that the other one was so bad, you know? That it didn't feel right. I wanted this vibe, I feel like. Because I like the vibe of that bar in this game. Are you moving again? Stay. 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 Be good. Stay. Okay. That's better. Is your apartment haunted or something? No, I'm just using tape to, like, keep the camera in spot. And it's, like, balanced on there, just ever so slightly. So it's not really that great of a spot, but, you know, it works. Alright, so... the roof comes down like that, and then it has a line right there. Get a little bit more black paint so we can, let's get these lines right. Let's get this good and right, and that way we can be in a good spot for when we start up next time. Alright, so then this goes down to here, would you say? And then comes over. Should probably do more tutorials, sort of, streams, but, I don't know. The imposter syndrome stuff real kicks in super hard when I do those, and it just makes me nervous and awkward. I don't know. I know some of you guys like it, but I need to hold off on them for a bit until I can paint more often, I think. You know what? The camera's okay there, I think. It's a little bit off, but we'll be fine for now, I guess. Alright. And then that's like that. Okay. Tell me if you think these lines are totally off. But I think I'm in the right spot-ish. Definitely a dead body, just like half a meter off screen. That like it's slowly trying to show you, like the ghost of the person is trying to show chat. So that way, like, you can report it to the proper authorities and all of that. Is that right? I feel like that's right. I need to move this out of the way for a sec. Halloween decorations. I mean, I keep Halloween decorations up all year because it's Halloween all year, every year. Because Halloween is a great holiday. It's the best holiday. The only thing that it doesn't have is you don't get gifts, but you get candy, and that's pretty good. But only if you're a child. Or you're a smart adult, and you come in and you buy it the day after Halloween. And then you get it for real cheap. It's pretty sweet. Alright, so where is that door? The doorway is like right here-ish, I think. Right? Because the line goes down like this. I'm just using a lot of water with the paint so that way it gets like real light. And it's still pretty dense. Like, I could probably actually paint a painting like this, but like you'll notice it's a little bit streaky, and that's why I don't use up as much paint. Because it doesn't really matter on the sketch. Like, I just need to be able to see what I'm doing and get some lines in there. Alright, and then there's like some sort of like, I think it's a cigarette advertisement like right here. I kind of realized that one of the most popular images that I have is let's set fire to a cop car, set a cop over a beer or whatever I ended up naming that. And it's a super popular image, and people requested that it be the one that I sell, but I'm just super attached to it. I can't really afford to be that attached to my paintings, like literally, but like I just am. That one and Self-Portrait of a Street Medic are ones that I'm like super attached to. So if they sell, it's gonna be a while from now, and I don't know. They're the ones that I did for my senior show. Perspective seems a little bit exaggerated, so I think the realism of your one is, well, I'm trying to get it right rather than, you know, doing my own thing. I'm gonna make their faces like real blocky, like I did with the mannequins paintings that I did, and that way I've got like a different sort of vibe to this, where it's not like quite so really, you know, because I don't really want it to look photorealistic. I want it to look like a, you know, a painting, you know. I want it to show off the paint qualities of paint, and it gives it a different aesthetic, and we can really pump up certain values and bring down other values. But one thing I do want to get is I want to get everything in the right spot for the most part, so bear with me while I sketch this out for like ever, then drop this to go and do like a party thing. The mannequins were good, but I feel like I need to change it up a little bit for me to be able to progress those images any. And I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. I've thought of a couple ideas, but, you know, I'm kind of doing this one based on A, that I haven't done one in a while, and B, because I'm like, I like the idea that, I like the paintings that people seem to have really gotten themselves attached to in my library. Like, I looked up which paintings I've sold the most prints of, and did that as the way to determine which would be the first painting I would try and sell on eBay. And let's set fire to a cop car over a beer, so the cop was by far the most popular image by a landslide. And so second to that was Self-Portrait of a Street Medic, followed by Ocean. So Ocean ended up winning because I don't want to sell either of those two just yet, because like not only are they like really important as far as like, you know, they were my senior show, a couple other ones that were in my senior show that I don't think I've sold or put up on my art website because I don't think they're as good. Like, there was a massive one that's like 2 or 3 times bigger than this one of some other stuff, I guess. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of who I was, for the most part. But when it comes to that stuff, I'm definitely... but whether or not... I don't know. It's hard to say. That was a time of my life that I look back on, and it was formative for me in a lot of ways. There are things that I learned at that time doing that stuff that really made me who I am now. I had to like really I don't know, it put me through some really awful times, and that's why my senior show was about it. It was that way I could like express that. And boy, I just the reviews from, so we had an art history class. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place because that's just where my mind's at right now. But we had an art history class, and for extra credit for that class, which was one of the hardest classes in that university that I went to. You could go and visit the senior show and give like your opinion on it and talk about the pieces, and then my art history teacher was nice enough that she would anonymously send you the feedback that people gave, which was neat. So you could see what people who were captive audiences thought about your work. And there's this one that I got. So it was like an essay format. You had to write like a 2-page paper on the exhibit, which is not that bad. But it was extra credit, you know? And just one of the things that someone said was like, I'm glad he's come to terms and changed his mind about things. And I'm like, you should have given that kid a failing grade. I haven't changed my mind at all, you know? Like, I haven't changed who I am. I've become more of that person in a way, and less in other ways. But it was just, I don't know. It's part of the reason that I believe that there's no way to get people to actually experience what you want them to experience, you know? Maybe I'm just not very good at art. Maybe that's the issue. But it was disappointing to see someone go, oh, well, he's not like that anymore. And it's like, no, I'm very much like that. Like, I still believe that stuff. What are you talking about? I don't know. It's another one of those things that I'm talking about in vague terms because, I don't know. I've talked about this before, more or less, I feel like, on these streams. And something that I've realized, mostly through experience, but partly through vicariously living through what Tron went through when he started throwing out political opinions, was that as an entertainer, no one cares what you think. Like, no one wants that, because as soon as like you get a certain idea of what they're like as an individual, like, it changes your opinion of them, for good or for bad. For example, I really like The Rock. I don't like his movies. I think he's a really kind of bad actor, but like, him as a person I like. And so like, if I hear he's in a movie, I'm like, oh, that'll probably be good. But then when I think about it, it's probably not going to be good. He's actually not that good of an actor, in my opinion. But he seems like a really nice guy. And so I want to support him in what he does, but simultaneously, like, do you see what I'm saying? I think it goes both ways. You hear about some situation like JonTron where like the guy just ends up saying some really stupid crap, and then you don't want to support him anymore. But simultaneously, there's also the part where I want to support certain people more because of the stuff they say. So it's like, do I want to delve into politics? But is there a way I can differentiate or like separate out art and by extension spirituality from politics? Like, I mean, art has been and will be forever like a tool of, you know, talking about how we feel, but, you know, in a lot of ways there's some politics in that, you know? I mean, you can divorce yourself from it, but even stuff like, even when you don't talk about it, you are talking about something. Does that make sense? So it's like, do I talk about politics or do I avoid it? As an artist, I should talk about it. As an entertainer, I should not. Because as an artist, it doesn't hurt my reputation at all to talk about... I mean, basically it was just him being racist, but he did have political opinions in there as well. But... And, like, my views are very different than his, but my point is that it's just like... Now I can't watch his content. And I'm sure there are people who agree with, you know, some of his less extreme opinions that he had, that wouldn't want to watch me if I said things. And it's just like, if my job is to get you guys through the day and make you happy, I mean, that's what an entertainer does. It's a distraction. Something that makes you happy for a little bit so you can just enjoy life for a little while, right? Doesn't have to be like anything negative about that. People who have, you know, just good days most of the time like to come home and watch some TV, you know? I feel like divorcing the artist from their work is something that I should talk about on Artcade. At some point or another. Let's put the big fella in. Get him going. We can have him kind of... I don't know. We'll figure out where he's looking. He might be looking at the other people, or he might... We may just take him out. I mean, that's the other thing, is at what point does not talking about it becoming... like you setting up an opinion, you know? I have some friends from back in the day, and they started learning about like black metal, which is something I enjoy, you know, first wave more so than second wave, mainly because second wave became intensely political because it became wrapped up in LaVeyan Satanism, and separating LaVeyan Satanism from the politics is almost impossible. It is objectivism as you know, religion in a lot of ways, and that's very much simplifying it, but I don't know, I'm just talking crap for the longest time. That's just what I do. One nice thing about this channel is that I can have this discussion where I feel like that it's not easy to have that discussion on my other channels, because it's a different sort of thing, and hopefully people can, I don't know, do I want that? Do I want people to be able to divorce themselves from my opinions? In ways, yes. In other ways, no. I mean, yeah, you should watch, was it Until the Darkness Takes Us, if you want to hear about second wave black metal. First wave black metal is just, I don't know, Venom described it as being the heel, you know? Taking the word from, like, wrestling for the guy who's the bad guy. You know, you got your good guys, like Hulk Hogan or whatever, and then you got your bad guys that cheat and lie, and, you know, they pull shady stuff, you know, The bone saw was one of those. He cheated during his fights. So that was the thing. It was supposed to be sort of a foil to all these pop songs and stuff, to have like this really aggressive evil thing, you know, to do just to have a little bit of fun with it. And then it was taken to being it got taken to a completely different direction when proper Levian Satanism got involved, and it was obviously the kind that ended up taking it in the most extreme, awful way possible. You know, any religion can do that. You can do that with any religion. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, you look at King Diamond, and he has completely opposite opinions, and he was friends with LeVay. So, I don't know. I feel like this is coming along. This is starting to look right. So do I need anything else? I need this guy right here. I need him. And we're not even worried about values and stuff right now. We're just like, can I get the lines right? And I feel like, for the most part, the roof is a little bit off. It's one of the reasons that I decided against doing that Prager University video that I promised, where I would rebuke their opinion on modern art. It just doesn't seem worth it. And I may change my mind on that at some point. But I don't know. Agreed. Yeah, like, Varg Varkeen's is actually like that. Whereas the guys from Venom, they're not actually Satanists. Not saying that there's anything inherently wrong with being one, but like that the extreme that people like Varg Varkeen's took it is where it becomes problematic and it becomes an issue. To the point that now my friends associate second wave black metal with a lot of really awful stuff, and to be honest, it's really hard to not. Like, also, it comes to another point where it's like, is it even worth debating or responding to someone whose beliefs are, like, just not even factually based? Do you know what I mean? Like, a flat earther, like, you don't see them getting TV spots. Is there any reason to debate them? Someone takes something that is like just factually incorrect and espouses it as real life, like that brings a little level of like legitimacy to just the argument that I just think is stupid. Like, you know, they're an idiot. Why are you giving them screen time? Because unfortunately, despite the fact that you think they're an idiot, and you think that by exposing them and showing them off on, like, how stupid they are, like, look at this guy, he actually believes this? He actually believes the world's flat? You know, and you take it as a way of making fun of him. There's some people who are actually dumb enough to believe him. Because, as it stands, that guy is actually dumb enough to believe that. So is there any point in debating someone who just believes completely factually incorrect information, not even at the point where it's an opinion? I think opinions should be discussed, but facts we should just agree on. You know, when we know something like, I don't know, the world is round, it should not be something that we bother debating anymore. Obviously, that could be a slippery slope argument, but you could say that about basically anything. The slippery slope argument in of itself, I guess, becomes a slippery slope argument. Like, where does that stop? What isn't? I'm using flat earthers as an example. There's a lot of people who take just things and they say them as if they're factual information. But any bit of science or research would prove them wrong. For instance, what college student is bringing up, those are people who believe something that is a scientifically disproven thing. That used to be a belief, a scientifically held belief that everyone agreed on, but we know it's not. We know now that that's just factually incorrect, but for some reason, we give them screen time where we wouldn't give flat earther screen time. I feel like this is more or less right, isn't it? I need to, like, maybe darken his lines a bit, just that way it's a little bit more obvious when I come back to this. Essentially, and let me go back to flat earthers because it's a much more agreeable position. But essentially, let's take, like, a person who believes that the world is flat. Could you, in any reasonable way, prove it to that person? Experiments that you could prove it just by going down a river or whatever. You don't even have to live in a place that has hills or valleys or anything that would really allow you to see any vast distances, you know? So, like, I don't know. It just seems like a waste of time and energy to debate someone who has a belief that's so fundamentally flawed. Like, fight crazy with crazy? Perhaps. But, I don't know. I don't have that much time in my day. You know? I don't know how much of this channel should ever become very philosophical. I mentioned it in the, like, 4 skills that all artists should have. You should have a spiritual belief on what art does. And I think about that quite a bit. But getting back to my original point, if art is directly related to everything else, then where does that stop? And can I talk about that without it being something that alienates the whole idea in the first place? It's also annoying to see beliefs that are beliefs espoused as fact. Like nihilism is a belief. It's an interpretation of the facts that we have that makes it a belief, not a fact. You know? But that doesn't mean that that is the correct viewpoint in any way, shape, or form. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, humans are capable and able to understand the vastness of space and all of that, and yet we persist. We decide that we're going to keep going and do stuff anyway. And I think that's what makes us special. You know, people go, well, what makes humans so special? Why should we care? You know, that's the core tenet of nihilism in a lot of ways. It's just like, what's the point? And the point is that, like, despite the fact that we see that, we still fight on, we still do stuff on a daily basis. You know, we still keep doing stuff. So I think, you know, in a lot of ways, like, it's, despite us knowing all that, despite knowing that, we decide to fight on and make something of it. In a lot of ways, if we know that there is nothing out there, then doesn't that mean that it's a blank canvas that we can do anything with? If there's no rules, nothing to stop us, then it's just we have reality as ours to create, you know? It's been something I've been thinking about for a while now. I don't know if that made any sense. So that being said, like, I don't know. Anyway, how far are we into this stream? Almost exactly an hour. I mean, one thing that makes humans special is that in spite of all that, we decide to keep going, and we cooperate. We work as a general group. We like to talk about how much we wage war, and we do, but so much of the time we're also working together, you know? Like, we like to talk about how humans are, like, war-frenzied, crazy group of individuals that can only think about destruction and killing each other and all of that. But when you think about it, like, we're also the group of people that... We have people whose entire job, that all they do their entire life is try and figure out the cure to cancer and other diseases. You know, there's different people working on each one, right? Like, it's all on how you actually look it up, right? Or look at it. Like, yeah, you could think of us as just warists, just jerks. Or you could see it that while we're not at war, we're helping each other out. Like... I feel like it's just sort of a depressive, inaccurate interpretation of reality to say humans are just evil. I'm saying all of this while I'm painting a bar scene from a really, like, trashy video game, but... Another way to look at it, nihilists like to say, you know, oh, well, reality is meaningless. There's no point to anything. You don't matter in the big scheme of things. But that's, I guess, a half-empty way of looking at it. Like, we mean as much as, like, any other thing. We mean as much as, like, sun and stars. Like, we don't... It just does its thing until it stops. We mean as much as that. This is me being like, philosophical when no one asked for me to be. And these are also thoughts that I, like, think about, but probably no one cares about. I think the trick to get away from, like, nihilism is to realize that it is an opinion and not a fact. One of the coolest things that humans do is they rebel against the fact that maybe nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. Like, in a lot of ways, I just do what I do and I say, whatever. Like, I don't care if the universe doesn't think that I matter. I think I do, and I think I'm going to do something with this life that I've got. And if the universe wants to try and stop me, they can go for it. Like, that's the most rebellious thing you can do in a lot of ways. To deny just, like, any sort of, like, purpose that maybe reality has for you and shape it into your own. Again, it's just a blank canvas, right? Reality says that I don't matter, and I'm going to prove it wrong. If that is even what it's trying to say. If you believe that's what it says. Haunted camera. It just wants to do its own thing. I don't know why. I need to tape this down. It's just tape is really the issue. So the meaning of life is an answer and it was never a question? I don't know. The most rebellious thing is actually the camera. I think you may be right there. How are we doing on time? Oof, I actually should probably stop. Anyway, I think that's a good start. Like, it's good enough that, like, I could find where everything else goes. Anyway, if you're watching this and you hated it, let me know. If you're watching this and you liked it, let me know. Also, again, that painting is up for sale on eBay. Based on how I did my stuff, oh, it actually went up in price. Oh, wow. Someone actually outbid the other guy. Neat. Well, here it is again if you want to get it. I did some bids on some orcs today, some Warhammer stuff, to get off of the, like, heavy stuff. And I ended up sniping those bids like a 1990s mom buying, like, Beanie Babies for their kid to buy, like, their college education. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this, let me know. I'm gonna put up a... Let's just bring up the intro again so I can turn off the camera. Alright. I gotta go because I got a thing that I gotta get to. But this is definitely the most interactive that I've had this chat. And I definitely need to refine some of my points. But there's some random opinions on stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Go check out the LO live streams if you did enjoy this. I usually talk about less heavy stuff, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And also it's good background noise if you need something to listen to while you're doing art on your own. Kind of intend for it to be like that, but I will see you guys later. Bye.